First of all, so great to see everyone here, every single one of you, in costume. Such great costumes. Great job. And what costumes, you may ask? Well, you're dressed up like the saints today, for All Saints' Day. There's a fun tradition of dressing up like the saints the day after Halloween. When I was a kid, I dressed up like St. Isaac Jogues, the Jesuit missionary in the New World. I dressed up like St. Francis one year. I dressed up like St. Juan Diego another year. So it's so great to see all of you in costume, because we're all called to be saints. And there are saints rising up in our midst. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the number of people being beatified, the number of people being canonized, welcomed into the canon of the Church of being blessed and saints. Just a few weeks ago, Blessed Carlo Acutis, just a few weeks ago, beatified. He was 15 years old when he died. And I believe he is the very first saint to be buried in a hoodie and Nike sneakers. And the very first time that a video game controller can be called a second-class relic. Incredible. But Blessed Carlo, what really made him stand out was that he had a tremendous love for the Eucharist. And he developed a website in the early 2000s when the internet was just becoming a thing, and he documented Eucharistic miracles all over the world. Incredible. And then he died at such a young age in around 2007 or 2008. He died of cancer. But what really made him stand out was his love for the Eucharist and love for others and his family. His family always said that he had this charismatic personality, that when you met him, you just loved him. Blessed Carlo Acutis. And yesterday, the number of saints increased a little bit as well. Father Michael McGivney was beatified, made a blessed, one step before being canonized. And so, now Blessed Michael McGivney was the founder of the Knights of Columbus, which is why I wear this vestment given as a gift from the Knights of Columbus. On the front is the cross, but on the back you can see is the symbol of the Knights of Columbus. I'll step out on the catwalks for you to see it. So, Father Michael McGivney, Blessed Michael McGivney, founder of the Knights of Columbus, and his example of charity, evangelization, and empowerment of the laity and the Church continues to bear fruit and guide the Knights of Columbus around the world. He was a man of the people. He cared deeply about the immigrant population in the late 1800s, and recognizing that these immigrant people from Europe could not financially support themselves, that's why he started the Knights of Columbus, as a way to build up the faith and for there to be a charitable outreach for those suffering in his local community. And right now, that example of serving the poorest of the poor and giving out in charity is an example that's seen through the Knights of Columbus all over the world. Knights of Columbus are not just limited to the United States, but many places in Central America, South America, Europe. It's a global organization now. Knights of Columbus still serves today as one of the largest Catholic charitable organizations in the country. And in order to be beatified and canonized, there needs to be approved miracles that took place through the intercession of the saint. And so I wanted to share this really beautiful story of the miracle that was used to prove Father Michael McGivney's beatification. This comes from I don't know how to say the last name, but it's something like the Schlossel family. It's from Tennessee, and they needed a miracle. They found out that their 13th child not only had Down syndrome, but also had fetal hydrops. And so that's a typically fatal condition where fluid builds up around the vital organs of the unborn child. And the doctors told the family that there was no hope for the child to survive. The doctor that ran the neonatal high-risk clinic at Vanderbilt University told the family that she had been doing this for 30 years and she had never seen a child survive this diagnosis. And so the family prayed specifically for Father Michael McGivney's intercession. And when they prayed for their unborn baby, as a family, it brought their family closer together. And then when the mother went for the next ultrasound, it showed absolutely no signs whatsoever of fetal hydrops. The mother's doctor that day, who was just coming in, initially unaware that her patient was the woman she had heard about, began to discuss what they would do when their baby was born. And confused, the mom said, "Doctor, I was told that there was no hope, that this child is going to die." And so the doctor thought that she had mixed up the charts. But in the end, it was considered a miracle. And so the baby was born a healthy Down syndrome child, and they named him after Father Michael McGivney. And so beautiful, Michael was born. And Michael is a source of joy for the whole family. I was very moved by the documentary yesterday. They showed the beatification on EWTN, where the family spoke, and one of Michael's sisters said, "I had no idea that God was going to use us in this powerful way, to allow this miracle to be a part of the process of beatification for Father Michael McGivney." And the whole family was there in the church in New Haven, Connecticut, where the beatification took place. And little Michael, just a few years old now, was present there as well. It was a very touching moment when Bishop Tobin had a relic of Blessed Michael McGivney and then knelt down before little Michael. And then Michael took the relic and then kissed it. It was just a beautiful, beautiful moment. The saints are all praying for us. They are cheering us on. And a way to understand this All Saints Day that we celebrate on a Sunday, I think there's a great way to explain this, an analogy that's used by Father Michael Schmitz. Father Michael was in a family that was very fit, and they would run marathons together. And so they all trained for this marathon, and they really helped each other. You know, they ran together and helped each other to cross the finish line. It's a huge accomplishment, running those 26 miles and then finally having that joy of crossing the finish line. And the last thing, the first thing that you want to do is probably relax after that. But so once they actually got cleaned up a little bit after their marathon, they actually went back to the finish line and to watch the rest of the marathoners cross the finish line. And what did they do? They kept on cheering for those coming across, for those continuing on their race during the very last leg of their race. We see that this is a great analogy for saints, that we are all in this race together, if you will, but we have the saints who have completed that race cheering us on, praying for us at the finish line, saying, "Come on, you can do it just a little bit further." I think that's a great example for all of us, knowing that the saints are there praying for us. So that's why today I am very happy to see that you have your costumes on. That today you have come prepared and willing to be sanctified, to be filled with hope in the Lord. And we know that all the saints, all the angels and saints are here today. They're here at every single Mass, and they're praying for us and cheering us on. So we pray for that grace to recognize that and ask the Lord for that strength, for that hope, for that faith to be able to continue on journeying closer to the heart of Christ.